What's up, guys? Welcome to the Sesh. Rob.
Hey, everybody, we're back.
This week's episode is brought to you by pecans.
Oh, nice.
Do you know what nuts do to your body? They regulate your hormones, so you should eat them. Take them with you.
Thank you. I'm going to have
They're
these.
good. It's good stuff. It's from Ray Thomas, man.
Ray Thomas. Thanks, Ray.
He's like, who? Well, by the way, we got a very special guest today in the house. Kind of introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. My name is Daniel Viveros, and I'm a life coach. And what I normally do is just talk to people. I counsel people, talk to them. I do teachings on whether it's leadership or how to find the purpose. I would call it purpose and destiny for your life, how to find meaning, a goal for your life that you can actually follow. Wake up every morning with a, Nietzsche would say, with a why, you know, and so you can actually defeat any house, you know. So it's a fun thing to do. Plus, also a very important thing. We have a lot of people right now they're so confused. I mean, you go to college and you ask, oh, what's your major? And they still tell juniors and seniors, and they'll go like, I think, and they tell you, you know, or even when they're about to graduate, well, I want for this, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even just say it's just with kids. I mean, I think adults too.
I
now.
still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like nowadays, it's very interesting because to live on social media at my age, you see a lot of different things, and you see how people want to live and produce their life on social media.
Yes.
And you also see the younger generation coming up, and then the thoughts of how the older generation thinks about the younger generation, and how the thoughts of the younger generation think
how
about
they
the
contrast,
older. It's a very interesting time to be alive, especially after COVID. I feel like a lot of people kind of went like, shit, I'm going to go with it and go wherever I want to go and figure things out. And then I think the repercussions of that are starting to come back.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Actually, when COVID hit us real bad, it was during actually the main, I guess, the hardest part was in 2020. That psychologists would tell us, you know, this is nothing compared to the outcome that is going to come after everything settles down, the psychological outcome.
The repercussions of it.
Yeah. It's, you call it, suicide rate went 50% up.
Oh.
But violence at home went 50% up. A lot of psychological problems went up because of staying at home 24/7, you know, and they told us about it, and nobody believed them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like politicians would always play the political game, and doctors and psychologists would say, just wait. And right now we're seeing a lot of those effects that are coming out. In fact, and I believe that's very personal, a lot of the problems we see even with the shootings in high school and other areas, it's just a product or a byproduct of this lockdown that we had for over a year, that the psychologists told us this is going to happen, and a lot of people didn't listen.
You know what I heard that's pretty interesting is this psychological warfare. Since like obviously we got shut down by COVID, and this is controversial. I'm not gonna say it, but obviously we know where it all came from, right? That's their psychological warfare. Is you've seen China like go into TikTok now, and then there's certain things that Americans see on TikTok versus the Chinese.
Yeah, because the Chinese own TikTok.
They regulate it.
Yeah, they regulate it.
So even they're talking about that as being a type of psychological warfare where we're only seeing people that we
it's making us stupider.
Our time frame of concentration
because
is
you
less.
go to China and you go through your TikTok and you're not going to see
you see educational stuff.
You see big, huge accomplishments by children, by their leaders, and it's very, very positive and influential messages that they allow on TikTok in China, but what they are pushing here is just stupidity.
Entertainment.
Yeah, it's just it is mind-numbing nonsense.
It's an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you, China.
Yeah, in fact, people had asked me, "Why don't you join TikTok?" And I went, what I've seen so far in TikTok, no thanks.
Yeah, no, it'll eat your time.
Well, what's interesting
ruin your
about
day, man. Like,
there's nothing on TikTok that's filtered. Like my daughter's on TikTok, and now not anymore, but she was seeing, or I was seeing live going on, like the Ukrainian war, Ukraine war against Russia. I was seeing it happen on social media. If I have access to that,
Everybody does.
6-year-old that stole their mom's cell phone to make a TikTok account has that same access.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, it is. And there's a lot of restrictions in other countries when it comes to TikTok, especially China. Even though they created that and they said, okay, America can buy anything. So they sent it to us, and we're the ones going crazy with it. And China is going like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. And not going to name the president. There was a president a few years back that said, we need to ban TikTok, and nobody listened. Now we're having a lot of issues with it. And now some politicians are telling us we need to do something about TikTok, So,
the interesting thing about that too is when they sold, America made TikTok sell them an American version, but all the American data has to go to China first, and then they give us back the information. You don't think that's like scrubbed?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting place
to live. China has a lot of power right now, even in Hollywood. They'll tell Hollywood what to do and what not.
What to say? Yeah,
it's funny because in a lot of these movies now that these A-listers are making are being backed and financed by the Chinese.
Yeah, it's a lot of things, but going back to our point, you mentioned something that is so right. This is not only within the youth, even though my wife and I love to get engaged with them and try to help them out, but adults are going through the same thing right now, because this starts in the very beginning. If you didn't get with it when you were let's say in your teenage years, it's not going to happen out of magic when you're 40. A lot of people say when he or she turns 18, they'll mature. Or when they turn 21, they'll mature as if there was some magic in numbers. And if you can be the dumbest person and the craziest and brainless person at 17 and turn 18 and nothing is going to change unless you purposely changed it. But people keep saying when he or she turns this age or that age, or soon as they have a baby, or as soon as they get married, and things don't change through magic. We have to actually have a purpose. We have and
also people mature through life lessons, life experiences too. So they mature at different levels. I can see a 12-year-old that is obviously way more mature than a lot of people I know. I mean,
change and growth happens to us as we're growing up every day, effortlessly, in terms of the color of our hair, the size of our bodies, how we grow.
Yes.
So because we wake up every day and we notice something, a little change that we had that it was involuntary, we take on that trade, and then we become lazy in terms of you want a change, a personal change. Well, like you said, it's not just going to happen. There's not a number. There's not a day that you're going to wake up and say, man, I think I changed today. I'm not going to be such an asshole today. You have to make the choice to change those
conscious,
things. A conscious choice and an effort.
Small little choices. I mean, little changes that you can do in life, and you'll be surprised how those little changes that you do, even just like say, I want to lose weight. I notice you post that you talk about health, and you make those little changes in life, and then you turn around in a year from now, and you're going to see a big difference in your life. Right?
The problem becomes that it's a year. And I've noticed this to be true. It's like when we talk about it all the time, it's like we want to make an effort, a conscious effort to change our bodies. And we don't want to change the foods that we eat, or we don't want to do the things that we need to do, that we know we need to do this stuff, to make a better life for ourselves. But it's hard. Like, I get it. Like, it's hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Well, that's why it's called growing pains, man. Even when you're growing as a child.
I went through that myself. I gained so much weight at a time. I was always very slim. I was very active. And all of a sudden, stop my activities, and except the one for eating and eating very late at night and then do nothing. And I gained a lot of weight. I don't know exactly how much weight, but I was size 35 waist. So to the point that I was looking at a family picture, and I was the one right in front, and I didn't recognize me.
Wow.
I was looking for myself. In my mind, I was still slim, and I'm looking for that slim person, and I didn't find it. So I said, and I didn't go that day, and you're right there. And I know, oh, my God. And when I started getting into all this healthy products and started changing my appearance, I would get on the scale every day and go, it's not working.
Yeah.
Try some. No, it's not working. Until this friend of mine told me, how long do you think it took you to get like this? And I said, at least a year, probably more. He said, well, give yourself at least a year to change. Don't go to the scale anymore. Don't look at yourself in the mirror. Just work. Just follow your plan. And I did it before I knew it. I mean, the process has to go. It has to. You have to go through the process. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. A friend of mine or one of my mentors would say, what you do every once in a while will never give you the results you're looking for. You know, if you're not willing to discipline yourself and go through the whole process, you're not going to reach the goals that you want. You know, and it's hard. And I understand, because believe me, it was like, oh man, I've been a week on this, and look, no changes, no visible changes. And then 6 months went by, and somebody told me, are you sick? No, I feel fine. Well, are you sure? Yes, I feel fine. But see, people start noticing the changes, and all you do is just follow that routine, follow that discipline on a daily basis, and you have a reason to wake up. I had a reason to. It was raining. Put your tennis shoes on and go out there and run. Because if you don't go today, you skip it again tomorrow. So there, it's cold. It doesn't matter. Go out there and go. It's raining. Doesn't matter. Go out there and run. You have a reason to wake up and actually reach something.
Interesting enough. Do you listen to David Goggins?
No.
Do you know who David Goggins is?
Yeah.
So he's a very interesting character. He's saying that there's just a bunch of soft men in this world, and let me ask you this, because I have a problem feeling this way and questioning myself. I feel sometimes that I have a very hard time feeling bad for people who are physically and mentally capable of achieving good things, like making changes. They don't have any sickness. They don't have any mental issues. They don't have any physical issues that stop them from achieving things, which, by the way, those people that do have those things can achieve amazing things as well.
Yes.
I find it hard for people that complain all the time, especially on social media. Is like they're complaining about these things, but they're physically and mentally able to go out and do something, make a change, get up every single day and do something for themselves. That's why I kind of like am moving away from social media. It's like I feel like it's taking my power. Like I like to feel powerful. Like going to the gym makes me feel good.
But yeah, no.
Hanging out with men makes me feel good. Like stuff like that. I feel like a lot of that is gone away.
Yes.
Have you seen that or experienced that?
Definitely.
Also, what do you think about that too?
I think that.
Am I wrong for thinking that way?
No, I don't think that you're wrong for thinking it. I just think that some of the people out there that are so immersed in their struggle can be mentally inhibited to seeing positive outcomes. You know, a lot of the things that we cannot achieve isn't because we don't have the muscle mass or the mental fortitude. It's just that sometimes you're in such a deep hole that you just can't pull yourself out of it, you know, and then that's where, you know, people turn to life coaches and people who they consider a person worthy of taking their advice and implementing it into their lives. I know that I dealt with depression and I was overweight and didn't like what I saw in the mirror, but I was a soft man, like you just said. I've never heard that. I don't know who the guy is, but it makes sense, because I feel that at one point I was soft mentally, emotionally, physically, you know, spiritually. Soft is a good word. There was nothing substantial about me.
Yes.
It took a hell of a time in my life to figure out that it's worth going on, you know, because like you said, suicide is a big thing. And yes. I think that there are people out there who are overweight or who are underweight or who just don't like the way they look. I don't think it is a direct result of laziness or...
Well, I'm not even talking about weight. I'm just talking about, like, in general, like, people that want to start something that have never done it before. Or they're on the fence. They're, like, thinking, like, well, do I take this jump or do I just stay here? Or those people that are...
Paralysis through analysis.
They're paralyzed by their thoughts. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's the only thing that you can control are your thoughts. And I used to say it was the body and your food, but that's just hard too.
Yeah.
But you can control your thoughts.
Yeah, it's, I guess when I was younger, I was a lot nicer. Now my wife tries to keep me away from media because I'm not nice anymore. I get irritated by things that I see like, my God, see, one of the things, one of my teachings is you have to be willing to pay the price to get what you want. You know, and a lot of people want, like for instance, let's just put it on materialistic things. You see a Mercedes-Benz, the top of the line, and it's, let's say, $150,000, and you love it and you like it and you really want it. When you see the price, you go to, but I know I deserve it. I know I like it, and why should he get it, and I can get it? And then you start blaming everybody else, and instead of, hey, go get a job, you know, save some money, and then go and get what you want. But no, that's too hard. I want somebody else to pay the price, and I get the reward. And right now we live in a generation that is very much like that. You know, they want somebody else to pay a price and they get the reward. And when they see everybody else that is actually paying the price and getting the rewards for it, they get upset. They get mad at you. Now you have to apologize because you worked hard and you get what you were looking for. You get what you were after, and they haven't gotten anything because they haven't gotten out of their butts and go out there and hustle and work. And then, what do you think you deserve that? And this is going to sound stupid. You know, I'm half Mexican, half Jew, but light skin. I'm taking one of my master's class, and they tell me how much they feel like they've been looked down and they haven't been able to achieve much because they're brown, they're Mexicans, and I'm staring at them like I've never felt like that. And they told me this. That's because you're a white Mexican. And I said, how stupid does that sound? They go, no. I was always around Anglo people, and they encouraged me to go to college. They encouraged me to get to a higher education. They encouraged me to do greater than what I was doing. And we're here in the Valley. I'm sorry, but I see a couple of Anglo people. Most of us are Mexicans. So, who's going to actually look down at you if he's a Mexican-American, it's another Mexican-American, and you feel like you haven't accomplished anything because you're Mexican in the Valley? Mm-hmm. Give me a break. You know, come on, let's get serious. But it's just the fact that, no, I want to go through college and somebody else pay for it, and I want to have a good grade, and I want to be playing with my Nintendo or whatever. I guess
sometimes I think about like our ancestors. Like, you know, I had to get up and walk forever and go hunt their foods. Like, what would they be saying? Like, if we're just on our phones all day posting stupid TikToks while I'm dancing, like they would come back and slap me. Like, I mean, I think that's where the point where is what I'm trying to say is like our grandparents worked so damn hard to get us lineage and live a little bit longer and carry on our life
that is a very
to populate
point.
the world.
Yes,
and we're just like playing on our phones. Like,
which is one of the points that I would tell them. You know, if you were talking about your grandparents, great-grandparents, man, I would say, you're so right. Prejudice was so bad, and your grandparents went through so much hell so you could come to this school practically for free and not even try. Can you think? Can you breathe? Yes, you're in. And they had to go through so much, and they didn't complain. They went through it because they had a goal. They had a why. There was a reason for getting up in the morning and saying, I'm going to stand right in front of the school and say, until you treat my children right, I'm not leaving. But now, we don't see that now.
I feel like a lot of those old traditions have started to fade away, especially with like our age. I feel like is the tip top of where it's starting to go downhill. Like, do you see that with like younger generation? Like they don't really care about traditions anymore. They do them because it's kind of cool sometimes. Yes. But you don't see like tradition people like the younger demographic like in mass. Like I know people that I know, like here in the families in the valleys that still do the traditional stuff, but for the most part, I don't see it practiced anymore. Do you?
I don't think that those traditions. I just don't think they're meant to have the longevity that we fantasize with them having. When my mother passes, que ni lo mande Dios, her tamales recipes are gone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Getting together at mom's house is gone.
Yeah.
Like, time touches everything. Everything. The dirt, the clouds, us. Time touches everything. And it also touches our culture. It also touches our traditions. And it also touches the things that we feel define us. But the truth of the matter is that the only thing that defines us is what we do in the moment. In the moment. What we intend to do in the future is feeble and maybe not even attainable because you don't know if you're going to get there. And what we've done in the past, nobody cares about anymore but you. So I don't cling to tradition. My son is gay. Has been since he was 3 years old. I've told you this. If I was to cling to tradition, it would teach me to try to fix that or to love him less or to shame him. So I don't cling to the old school traditions because they inhibit me from living my true self and being true to my feelings, to those who I love. So I don't disagree with a lot of the things that are fading out. I think that the good is always harder to talk about. And the bad is always very predominant. Well, when I look at old traditions, I see more of the bad ones fading out than I do good ones. I think the good stuff is going to be there because we want the good stuff, and the stuff that we don't see anymore and that is kind of becoming obsolete are the things that were meant to fade away for whatever reason. So I'm kind of torn there a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of things within tradition and culture. Not everything in tradition and not everything in culture is good. But I believe that for us to keep moving us, like I said, my grandmother comes from Spain. Mm-hmm. My dad was, I don't know where my grandfather from my parents' side came from Spain also, but he's Jewish. And my dad his traditions are a little different than my mom's, but when we put them together, it's so vital for me to keep a lot of those traditions going. Like you mentioned, getting together as a family for me is very important. Mm-hmm. Because that's how my dad raised me, but it doesn't happen that much here. It doesn't.
Well, no, it still happens, but now it happens via Zoom, via Skypes and things of that nature. Because again, the tradition of getting together has evolved to where, remember, just 2 years ago, it was like you can't even be with your family.
You can't even be next to each other.
A lot of things have changed. A lot of people have to move because of work, because of sickness. A lot of people have gone. So things do change. The main focus of tradition, though, I believe, has to keep going. Because otherwise, once we lose tradition, we lose identity. When we lose identity, oh man, that's where big problems begin. That's where which is one of the main things, that I teach. Unless you know where you're at, specifically where you're at right now, you don't know how to get to where you're going. If you don't know where you're at and you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? If you don't have anything to aim at. And if I tell you, if you hear me say, from here to San Antonio, it's about 4 hours, depending on who's driving, it's about 4 hours. And if you just take that out of context, then everybody's going to say, somebody that's listening, man, in Monterrey, for instance, oh, it's about 4 hours from here to San Antonio. And they take off and they find out that 4 hours later, they're not even halfway there. Mm-hmm. So why? Because they need to take into consideration where they're at, so they can actually have a map that can take them to where they're going. Most people don't know that. Most people don't know exactly what, or even if they know, they kind of ignore it, or some people don't even want to know where they're at, because once they know where they're at, they're responsible to do something about it. And responsibility is something that most human beings don't want to deal with, because that's, you know what, I'd rather stay here at home and play games all day long, because that way I'm not responsible for anything. Okay, fine. But then again, you're going to accomplish nothing in life. You're going to turn 30 and you're still playing games, so you haven't accomplished anything in life. And for a man to have no meaningful things to do is devastating. So it's extremely important. It's of a paramount importance that you find out where you're at right now, so you can start making the changes that you didn't based on where you were at the moment.
Right.
So then you start going, okay, I'm going to switch here, I'm going to switch there, I'm going to switch there. And every so often you check the results and you see that it's working. So hey, that gives you, it pumps you up, and you keep going, you keep adding a few more things, a few more changes. You probably started out on small changes, and then you went to higher changes. But it started out, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be, and this is how I'm going to get there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because it takes a lot of time to figure out how you're going to be going on that path. For example, I sat in my couch watching YouTube videos of Les Brown motivational content for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And at one point I was like, well, shit, man, I kind of have to get up and do something. Yeah. I just can't listen to this stuff all the time. So I started applying the principles that I learned from him, but it took 3 years. And the thing that sucks is that it takes so long for somebody to get to that point. But if you're consistent, if you're motivated, you can find a way to get motivated and do it long enough, it becomes discipline. That's the difference between it. You have to do it so many times. I don't want to go and do half of the stuff. Like counting all my calories, it sucks. Yeah, I eat the same thing all the time, and it's starting to suck. And I'm getting all those things back. It's like, oh man, my body's tired of it. I can feel it. Like it's different, and it sucks. But I know that I need to do that stuff to be able to get to the goals that I want, and it's hard. But it can be done.
Yes, but as you go, you learn better ways of doing it. You know,
because you become more efficient.
You start with what you got right then at the moment, but then I did a little work or experiment. I was counseling this person, and I said, Elisa, I'm going to grab you. We wanted to know why is it that you're doing what you're doing, and as we were talking, I said, I want you to come with me. I'm going to take you over here to the day that you had this encounter with your mom, this disagreement, and I want you to tell me how you feel. And I want you to feel exactly how you felt when you were talking to your mom. And you were there, and then it's okay, I'm going to take you back to today. Let's go back over here. Now tell me how that made you feel. So we did that back and forth for a while until she realized, the first thing I got to do now is all those feelings that I had, I have to admit that I do have them. They were real. Mm-hmm. You can't hide them. They're there.
I think that's the problem, is most people don't admit that they have those problems. And they're very they don't admit it.
That's because of the tradition that nobody wants to dissolve. Because why? Because la ropa sucia se lava en casa.
Yeah. I have 4 recordings on YouTube that just Depression in Church is called. Why in church? Because that's the place where most people will deny it completely. They can go through depression and die of depression, then still be telling you, I'm not depressed. Mm-hmm. Because if I say I'm depressed, it means I have no faith. And church people can say when I say I'm depressed, I'm going through all these emotions, and they don't realize that God didn't call us to be angelic. God called us to be human beings. True human beings, and true human beings go through all these situations that we need to admit. A lot of people say, no, I don't receive that. I don't accept that. No, I don't have that. Then people would ask me, can you pray for me? Because, you have cancer. I don't receive that. And then go sit down, because why am I going to pray for you if you don't have? Well, I do. Well, then you need to make up your mind. Yeah. You know, see, we feel like God is afraid of our problems. We're depressed. Oh, God's going to get surprised and going to be scared or offended because one of his children is depressed. there's nothing that's going to scare God, you know. Yeah. And your problem, my problems, don't surprise him, don't scare him. But we try to hide things. But this girl.
And I also think a lot of the times people will deny God, like the existence. Well, for me, I believe in there's a bigger power. There's a bigger, because I can see it when I go outside and see the stars at night, and I can smell the air. I can hear the birds in the morning. I can give gratefulness to everything that's going on in my life, even if it's hard. Like, I get there's a bigger being, there's something bigger, and I think that makes us so much more special because we have that same power to give it back to everybody else. It's the most interesting thing in the world, and we talk about this all the time, is the power of writing down your goals and putting it on paper and also saying it out into the world.
You got to give it to the universe. You have to.
Yeah, it's logos. The Bible says use the word logos, meaning actually referring to the Son of God or God himself, logos. And that's the part, that's the word, the word that we speak. In fact, even the name of God, when God, Elohim, it's a name that is given to God in the Bible when he is creating. And as he's creating us, and he tells us that we are made just a little below the angels. So we are made into his image. That means that when we speak, that logos that comes out is also a creative power that we have. So we have to be very careful of the words that we use because they're seeds, and seeds create. And when seeds create, they create something either positive or negative. It can be some good or some bad. And they're just words. No, they're not just words.
No, they're very powerful.
Yeah, Zig Ziglar would talk a lot about this. I don't know if you know Zig Ziglar. That guy is he used to train a lot of people in closing techniques, closing the sale. One of his books. He would say words have power, and he'd give an example of this lady that and she was cussing out real bad, and he said, "Ma'am, I mean, you're so beautiful, and you use that language. They're just words. If they're just words, would you talk like that in front of your mom? No, then they're not just words. You know, words have an impact. When we talk to our children, when we talk to our loved ones, the way we talk to them, the words we say to them make an impact on them. And once we let the words out, once we utter the words,
it's a shot arrow.
You cannot unsay what you just said. So it is very careful. Sometimes my wife tells me, sometimes you speak very slowly, very clearly, because I have to think of what I'm about to say, because I can get my emotions going and I start talking and say all the wrong things. And once I say them,
yeah, the problem becomes is if you don't say it with enough time, you don't know what you're talking about, and if you don't say anything at all, it's like, okay, well, what do you say? It's like,
well, see, I believe it. I look at everything that you just said. I agree with. I didn't get it from the Bible. I got it from that. Right before you walked in, I told him how this book that I read several years ago, The Four Agreements, speaks about how we're the only species on the face of the earth that is born with an innate desire to create a language to be able to communicate. Animals can sense each other, and they can sense happiness and danger, but they cannot communicate about what they ate this morning and this and that. Humans, we need to draw and say, okay, this is an A, and it looks like this. Do you agree? Yes, you agree. So now we've created a language.
Agree.
And the reason why we have that, this book says that all you need to know about the Bible, and this offends a lot of people, but I believe it to be true personally, is what is spoken or what is written in the first page of the Bible. It says, in the beginning, the earth was void, and then there was the Word, and the Word was God. And God created us after that. So that to me, and the book tells me this Four Agreements, that the most important thing we have ever had before there was anything was a word, the Word.
Yeah.
And God gave us the want to speak and to communicate. He gave us the power of the Word. And we can create our own worlds the way He created all of us. We can create our own small world simply by using the right words in a positive way.
Yes.
And the Toltecan people called this black and white magic. And if you used your words in a manner that spread gossip and rumors and just negative stuff, then you would create a negative world around you. And if you used your words to speak praise and truth and virtue, that this is what would become your world.
Yeah.
So I believe that.
Yeah, and actually, your words don't start with your words. And your words start with the thought. And once the thought comes in, somebody said, what do you mean freedom of speech? Why do you want freedom of speech if all you're going to do is say stupidities? We need freedom of thought. You need to learn how to think. You need to learn to think the right things so you can speak the right things. So when I was in San Antonio once, and I was doing my hair, the shampoo in my hair, and I was looking at the ceiling, and it said, be careful with your thoughts, because your thoughts will become, be careful of what you see, because what you see becomes your thoughts. What you think becomes your words. What you speak becomes your actions. And your actions become your habits, and your habits becomes your destiny. So it starts with a thought. So when the Bible says we need to learn to change our minds, transform our minds, or transform ourselves by the changing or transforming of our thought process, of our habits, and the way we think, the way we react. Because when we start thinking right, we start speaking right. And when we start speaking right, we start creating the right things. And when we start creating the right things, there's positive things in our lives so we can move on. There's a meaningful thing, which is the main teaching that we have. There's a meaningful thing in life for me to move on, because life, as you would say, life sucks. And if you don't have a meaningful reason to wake up in the morning, you're going to allow the storms of life to keep you down in bed and say, what's the use? You're not going to change the world. Nobody can change your life.
Mm-hmm. I think another interesting thing, too, is that simply put, people don't sit down and think together. Like, they don't have conversations. And I think a lot of people are scared of having conversations because they're afraid of how people are going to perceive them. Yeah. Like, Rob and I, we chat all day long about everything, because I know he'll never judge me, and I know any of the stuff I'd ever say will never leave this room. Right. I think people just simply do not have conversations and think about the things that are going to happen in life. Like, we know that this next year the economy is going to suck even more. Yeah. So we're sitting here trying to figure out how we're going to deal with that. So I think people simply do not think
and converse anymore.
That is true. And not only that you don't speak to each other. A lot of it has to do with this little smart or not so smart things. Well, they're smart. We're the ones who are not so smart.
That's right.
We don't even make time for ourselves to think, to see where we're at, to kind of regroup. There's a lot of reasons sometimes why things happen in our lives that stop us from going on with whatever we had planned. Next month, on the 13th of October, it'll be a year since I had an open heart surgery. And I felt like I needed to sit down and regroup and do everything I was planning, but I was going, in fact, we had just had a meeting, okay, on October, we're going to be doing this and that. In November, this and that. By December, we had everything all put together with that. And all of a sudden, I go to the heart doctor, and he tells me, we're going to do a little stent. And it makes long story short, ended up with a quadruple bypass. Wow. And that kept me out of commission for about 4 months. I was out and about in a month, because thank God I recuperated pretty fast. But I couldn't do much. And I learned through that process, begin again, the process. I had to be going through the whole process. I had to sit down and think. And you learn so much about yourself when you actually do nothing but sit
That's why
down.
People don't do it.
Yeah, and think. Yeah. And you start thinking, and you start realizing, hey, I thought I was like that, and no, I'm this. I thought I was going the right way, and no, I wasn't going the right way. But you never gave yourself the chance to sit down think. It's good when you have a friend or somebody that can sit down and talk. My wife and I talk forever, but there's times when you need to sit down. Solitude is something that is great.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's you can sit down and actually realize, there's greatness out there. There's so much that God prepared for me that I can reach, that I can accomplish, but I need to know what it is. And in order for me to know what it is, and to sit down and make the time to find out.
And I believe that the greatness is that everybody's looking for elsewhere is right here.
It starts there, yes, definitely, because there is a purpose that God placed in there, something great that God placed in there. And people try to figure out, they expect something like in the Ten Commandments, a voice from heaven, and it's not that mystical. It's something that you have inside that you probably already doing and don't even know.
Yeah.
I tell people, hey, what's your passion? I love that word passion, because I always tell people my best disciple is my wife. Because every lesson I taught years ago, she grasped it, got engaged with it, used it, and up till today, she's passionate about everything she does. The Greeks would say, and I learned that from a movie, I recommend it to you. It's Serendipity. If you haven't watched it, it's a romantic comedy, real good.
I have.
But they mentioned this. Greeks didn't write obituaries, they just had a question. Does this man have passion? And to me, it's like, if you don't have passion for what you're doing, and you're wasting your life and you're wasting somebody else's life. And it's because what you do, whatever it is, whether it's sweeping the streets, do it with passion.
Well, I think the problem comes up is where a lot of people have a negative stereotype of selfishness. And I think selfishness is kind of portrayed as the bad guy here, because I think for you to be able to go out into this world and go make yourself who you want to be, and then be able to do whatever you want in the future, you have to have a certain level of selfishness. And that's frowned upon by a lot of people, especially in our culture, in our area. And it's just frowned upon by everybody, because who wants to be with a selfish person? But I believe 100% that people need to be selfish to become selfless. And I 100% agree with that.
Definitely, because one of the things about you reaching that meaningful path, that purpose that you had, it's that it's not actually just for you. Because when I'm doing what I was born to do, my family benefits from it.
They benefit, yeah.
And not only my family, but the community.
And every person that you get to talk to about the journey that you completed or that you are on, that is a positive journey, it becomes beneficial for them too, because they get excited about it. They get inspired. They get to go on the life. Well, can I do that too? Yeah, they can.
Definitely. And it was a lady called me once in the morning, because on a Wednesday night, I had taught something like this. And I was telling people, see, we were not created just to wake up in the morning, go to work, go back home, and wake up in the morning, go to work. No. There's something specific that you're good for. Something. It's like like this iPhone. It comes with instruction book that says, "Do not use it until you read it." Obviously, we don't do that. Well, we are even better than an iPhone, and we come with an instruction book that says, "Do not use it for the things that it's not supposed to be used for." And we normally use ourselves on things that we're not supposed to be using our own person for things that we're not supposed to. And this is so important to actually read and understand it, so you can actually maximize the use of it so much more our lives. But when we actually reach something, this lady was telling me, I couldn't sleep last night. Why? Because I kept thinking, what am I good for? What am I? And
people carry their thoughts with them too much. We talk about that all the time.
Yeah. And I said, well, that's great. And I said, why? Because at least now you have this little urge to find out what's inside of me. What did God deposit inside of me that I can? You're probably already doing it. You haven't noticed it. And she asked me, do you know what your purpose is, Leo? Definitely. And she asked me, what I did last night? Why? Help you believe that you have a purpose in life, that you're not an accident. A friend of mine, one of my mentors, used to say, you can live by design or you can live by accident. And I mean, we have a design.
Design your life.
Yeah, and it's not. He wrote a book that's called "Live Full and Die Empty." I gave that to my wife. She read it, and she used that a lot. But you go after everything that God created you to do. You'll reach some, miss some. Somebody told me I never lose. I'll either win or learn. so
learn
like,
expensively and painfully.
So hey, listen, it's true, because when you fail, and nobody's going to fail unless they're trying to do something. And if you're trying to do something, you're liable to fail once in a while. And actually, you're going to learn from that.
Many more times than win.
At least, I tell people, if you count the times I failed and you get $1 for it, you're going to be rich. You know?
Yeah, Mark Cuban is famous for saying all you need is that one thing, and then your life will change.
You know what the story of WD-40, right?
No, I don't.
WD-40, you know, when that little spray, they know that combination of this, combination of that for 39 times, and they failed each time. And they said, we're done. And one of them said, let's go at it one more time. Let's try something different one more time. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So they tried it, worked. They've made millions since then. That's what's called WD-40, because it didn't work till the 40th time.
Interesting.
Wow. Only one time. They only did it right one time, and 39 times they did it wrong.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand that, is that you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to face the same problem. So you might as well go out and try something and do something different and fail forward. I mean, nobody likes to say that they're going to fail forward, but you need to get to those fails.
A bad plan is better than no plan.
As you possibly can.
Yeah, because it's teachers have this saying, I've been teaching for 30 years. You're not going to teach me anything. Well, it doesn't mean you've been doing it right.
Yes, right.
You've been teaching for 40 years. You've been teaching it. You've been doing all the wrong things. Somebody said, "What is some makes perfect? Practice makes perfect." I said, "Nah, practice just makes it a habit. If you're practicing it wrong, it is not going to make it perfect. You know? So it's just going to turn into a habit. If it says Houston left, you think, oh, it's no longer there. No, it's just take and you keep taking it right. You can take it 50 times, and you can say it's going to get better, and it ain't going to get better.
Unless you're in the 410 loop. But Daniel, let us know where everybody can find you on social media.
Okay, now I have my email. My wife right now is working on my cards and everything else. That's got the QR for my information and everything. Right now, you can find me at carlosdanielviveros@gmail.com. That is my email. You can find me on YouTube under my name, Daniel Viveros, and I have many videos there that you can check. Also, Facebook. I have a couple of Facebook, which is one was done by mistake. I don't know how we created, but I got two. You can check either one, because the videos, I normally upload them to Facebook also. So right now, that's my information. Also, I have a number for those that, and since a friend of mine told me, if your brain or memory doesn't work that well, you know, make one out of paper. and I have one, not even my paper is better, but my number is 956-777-2172, which is the one that I use for anything that relates to life coaching or videos or anything. Nice. And if anybody watches any of those videos and has any questions or wants me to deal with any specific or speak about any specific topic, obviously if I'm informed on that topic, I will. Yeah. Or if you have any questions on the videos that we uploaded, feel free to say
Put them in the comments so the algorithm can help you out there, man. There's nothing like YouTube out there.
Any critiques, you know, I believe me, I'm old enough to say, oh, okay, well, I blew it. No problem. I won't get offended.
I think that's a good skill to have for people that should have some thick skin. But thank you for your time. I appreciate your positive message that you're putting out to the world and helping people find their passion.
Thank you. You know, it was a pleasure being here, and commend you guys for everything you're doing.
Thank
I
you.
know you guys are doing good, and you're going to do even better. But next year, a lot of great things are happening, not only for you, but for us and for the Valley. We're
Awesome.
really praying that this Valley is going to grow and get even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob and I have a lot of plans for our studio in the next 5 years to be able to position ourselves where we want to position ourselves.
It's like you said, we have a plan.
We had a plan. So, all right, guys.
So much, guys. Thank you for listening.
See ya.
Thank you.